This is David Pace with East Idaho News. I'm here with Riley Hill, Braxton Meyers, and Boone Meyers, who just survived a grizzly attack on Sunday, September 1st, up in Island Park. So tell us a little bit about yourselves and what your story is.
Go for it, Braxton.
Just regular kids. We go to work like everyone else. We excited to go hunting. Outdoors, at least. I know there's a lot that aren't, but I speak on all of us right here. It's our favorite thing to do.
And where are you from?
I'm from Rexburg.
Okay.
Rigby area.
And
I just live with
your brothers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And have you been friends for a long time?
Yes.
Quite a while, yeah.
How far back?
Oh,
3
since high
years.
school.
3 years, yeah.
3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
So, only been friends for 3 to 4 years, and we've definitely been through a lot with each other.
A lifetime worth already, right?
Yeah.
And then some.
It's not even the grizzly attack. There's been more. Those ones were good times. This one was a bonding time.
Yeah.
So tell us what happened on this hunting trip.
And so, I'm gonna start out. It was going really well. We were having we were just doing it for some fun. We're really excited to get up there and go explore the country, see some wildlife and some elk. Of course, the elk, you know. And then on Sunday, if you want me to get into the story, I'll get into the story off the start.
Let's dive in. Yep.
All right. So we had my razor, and we went and dropped this guy right here, and then another buddy. He's not here with us today. We dropped him off at the top of the ridge up at Henry's. And so that's the big lookout. You can go look at Henry's and everything. There's some good areas over there to hunt some elk. And so we dropped him off there. And then me and my buddy, we looked at each other like, do we want to go to this spot? And both of us, not a single bad feeling, nothing. Didn't have a warning and so we're like, yeah, let's go. So we hopped in the razor, went and parked at the top of a hill, parked the razor, and we started hiking down. And so we were getting to a spot where we were getting into an opening. And then
It's a little clearing.
a little clearing out of
a little bit onto the other side of the drainage that we were in.
And so we kind of stopped for a second, and we looked around. We made sure we looked around because we're going out in this clearing. We don't want to spook anything. And so we stopped, waited for a second, waited to see.
Trees.
Yep.
Yeah.
Waited to see if we could hear anything, smell anything, nothing. So okay, we're good. I walked another 10 feet, and then I heard a loud thud. And then I remember I turned and looked at my buddy, and I just see him looking in the trees, and he goes, "Oh, crap, that's a bear!" So then I just remember from hearing bear, I had 30 seconds. And I didn't know I had 30 seconds. This is the whole entire attack. The 30 seconds is all it took to get me
Start to finish.
from start to finish. And so I remember I turned around. When I heard bear, I dropped my bow that was in my hand. And I look up, I see my buddy, he started running. And so for me seeing him running, I'm like, okay, I need my gun this bad. So I look down, grab my gun, and then I look back up, and that bear was not even this far apart from him. And so I remember I grabbed my gun, I'm like, this is bad. So I put one shot in the side right here of the bear. And grizzly bears don't usually get off their target, but this one did. This one turned, looked right at me, and he's charging fast.
We're like 10, 12 feet away from each other at this point.
And so I went and I put 3 more shots into it in the face, shoulder area. And then I remember I squatted down and I went and tried moving into the trees a little bit. He grabbed my arm and he pulled me like that and started throwing me around.
Yeah. And then
Everywhere.
we're going to back up a little in the story to the way I was seeing it. And Riley's 8-10 feet in front of me, and the trail kind of come like that, and Riley had made it around that bend almost to the opening into this little clearing that we were in, and then And then I was kind of following around. Right as I hit the corner of that trail, I heard the thud and then crashing, and I had enough time to turn around and look behind me. I made it this far and the bear was right here. Like, I could have reached out and grabbed its head. And the only thing that, because I have a concealed carry holster, and so it was going to take me a little bit longer to get to it, where Riley's was just right here on his hip. And
Thank goodness.
And the only thing that I could think was take off on a sprint so that Riley can get his gun out. And so I took off. Riley's over here. I took off that way. I don't remember exactly which way I went, but I went away from Riley. And then I heard Riley shoot once after I made 3 or 4 steps. Riley shot once, and I heard the shot, then I was on the ground, and then I was trying to figure out what was going on. I stood up, and the bear had a hold of Riley, and I was, in the heat of the moment, you're fumbling around, whatever. I got my pistol out and had a hold of him, and he's yelling and screaming because they're fighting over himself. And I put, 4 or 5 shots into it, and then my gun jammed, so I dropped my magazine out, racked it back to clear the jam, threw it, grabbed my other magazine, threw it in, watching Riley as all this is going down. This bear's just flipping him from side to side, and it was kind of flipping him from side to side before, but so I was having to pick my shots careful. But I got the new magazine in, and I looked down and racked it back to throw a new round in. By then, the bear's on top of Riley, and Riley's shoulders are between its front feet, and his legs are kind of kicked out from its stomach like that. And I couldn't see anything Riley was doing. I just could see the bear on him. And so I ran over, and I'm right on top of the bear, and I just kind of looked up at me, and I saw its eyes, and I just started going. And then it put its head back down, and I shot some more and did the trick. But
So he saved your life.
He did.
yeah,
We saved each
mine.
other's.
Yeah.
It was going for him first.
Yeah.
A lot of people say they'll take a bullet for a friend. Well, I got mauled by a bear for mine, so.
Yeah. And
So.
only thing that was going through my mind, because I'm getting married soon, I wasn't leaving my best man in there, so
I couldn't let the bear mess up his arm for his wedding. So.
I think your fiance would have forgiven you.
Yeah.
But, yeah. No, I hear it.
yeah, but I wasn't leaving him in there, and then yeah.
And then I just remember when that bear grabbed a hold of me. So that bear grabbed a hold, and it made a 200-pound man feel like he was nothing. I was thrown around, and it was like playing tug of war with your dog, but he was playing it with my arm and ripping it apart pretty much. And then I remember when Braxton hit it, I could feel the bullets hitting the bear through my arm. Wasn't hitting my arm, but I could just feel the repercussion from the bullets hitting the bear. And I just remember one shot, it finally loosened up just a little bit. And so when I finally felt that bear loosen up a little bit, I grabbed this hand. That's what these marks here on my hand a little bit are for. So I grabbed this hand, I ripped open that jaw, ripped my arm out, and then I remember I stood up, and I was freaking out, and I didn't know if the bear was coming after me again. All I remember is I see my gun on the ground, I hurried and grabbed it, and I gave it 3 more shots. And then it was laying there, and then I was panicking, and I didn't know I was injured yet. I had no idea. He's like, Riley, you need to calm down. Are you okay?
And I could see the blood on his hand, but I figured, because I only saw it had a hold of his hand, arm area right here, and so I thought it was just his arm. I was like, "Okay, you got to pull your jacket off so I can see what happened, so I can address the situation." And then he pulled his jacket off, and there was more blood up here. And I said, "Riley, you got to pull your shirt off too." And so he pulled his shirt off, and I looked at his arm and I was like, oh, this is bad. This is not good. And I don't know if it was from being a Boy Scout or what, but I took Riley's shirt, I wrapped it around his arm and pulled my belt off and wrapped it around kind of tight to keep pressure on it. And then I pulled his belt off of him and wrapped it up.
Of course, while this is happening, we're making jokes. He's like, he's sitting there. He's like, "Hey, I'm pulling your belt off, but don't get any ideas."
Yeah.
You know, in that kind of situation, the best thing to do is just joke.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
try to get my mind off
Yeah.
of like I just almost died.
yeah. That's who we are. Any crappy situation we've been in before, whether it's my snowmobile dying in the middle of the mountain.
Yeah, that was a good one.
We were just making jokes the entire time because it's who we are. I mean, it's how we.
How it goes.
I
That's
don't
how
know.
friends
Yeah.
go.
So this isn't the first round you've gone through together.
We've been through quite a bit. I'm not gonna say we're idiots, but we were teenagers that did teenager things for sure.
Yep.
And so, but
And
No,
you're 20 years old now, taking
Yeah.
on a grizzly bear.
yeah,
Okay.
I wish I didn't have to say I took on a grizzly bear at 20 years old, but
Yeah.
we get to say that now.
Wow.
And but I would not wish this situation upon a single person
No.
at all. This is horrible. A lot of people have asked me, why didn't you use bear spray? And I'm like, bear spray's good if the bear's 60 yards or
If you
has
can see
if
it
you have
coming.
if you can see it and you have distance.
Yeah.
We didn't see it and we didn't have distance. So the first thought we thought was lethal.
Yeah.
We need lethal now. Because even with us still having lethal, it still took us 24 shots to kill the
Yeah,
bear.
and I've read a whole bunch of studies since then. I mean, it's what I've turned my free time into between being at home or lunch at work. I just have been doing research on bears and the way they act and trying to wrap my head around the whole situation, why the stuff happened and how it happened. And I was reading a study, I don't remember who it was from, but it was saying that once a bear is in that mode of protecting itself, then bear spray is not going to take it out of it. And so even if we would have had bear spray, I don't think that it would have done anything. I mean,
Well, and the hard part with bear spray too that you have to worry about is if it's
you're
going to take you out too.
yeah, because I mean it's just like a real potent pepper spray, and so you're going to incapacitate yourself and whoever else is within your 20-foot radius. You're going to incapacitate both of you or all of you.
And all that would have done was made that bear angrier.
Yeah, and would have made it worse for us because we wouldn't have been able to breathe. We've been coughing and whatever. And
How big was this bear that attacked you?
It was
I think we were told.
it was almost 600 pounds.
I think we were told 520 through 530 somewhere
Man, I
around
was a
there.
little bit off, but
Well,
it
you were
was
just coming out of surgery or whatever.
Yeah, I was
When you
coming out of
found all
surgery
that
when
out,
you told
so.
me that. So, no, they said they called this bear the king of the hill.
Yep, it was a fighting bear.
It was a fighting bear. It was
reason-
20 years old.
Yeah, reason
And
why it
most
didn't
grizzlies don't live to 20 years old.
in the wild, and the reason why it didn't hear us coming down the hill was because it was a fighting bear. Another bear or some animal had torn one of its ears off, and that was the ear that was facing up the hill, and so it didn't hear us coming down until we were on the side that had the good ear, and then that's when it got up and come at us.
So you were about 12 feet away.
Yeah,
So we spooked it, and we weren't trying to.
yeah. Yeah, we didn't even know it was there. We couldn't see it. It was in this little,
They call it
Daybed.
a daybed. And
And
so they'll
they-
dig a hole and they'll pull brushes and scrubs and whatever to hide them.
yeah, kind of stack it up around it or whatever.
So that's when I said we stopped and we looked around. We really didn't see anything. We just like, this is normal ground.
I mean, it's 7:20 in the morning. We were going into, I mean, they were kind of thick, not super thick trees, but I mean, you're in the trees in the morning. It's darker in the trees than it is outside of them. So even then, I mean, it's just like shadows. It's how shadows work. So
So you started applying first aid. What happened next?
I got on the phone with 911. I was like, hey, we just got attacked by a grizzly bear. I'm okay, but I need something. I need either an ambulance or a helicopter to come get my buddy. And they're like, okay, well, hang on just a minute. We're going to pull your coordinates to get a helicopter en route. And so then my little brother had called me right before I got on the phone with 911. He was like, I heard all the shots. What's going on? I said, you need to get down here quick. I said, Riley just got attacked by a bear.
Yeah, I'll let him tell his side of the story now. It's kind of his turn.
Yeah.
It's all good, but yeah, basically I heard all the shots. Me and my other buddy, we were up at the top of Schoolhouse Ridge is what they call it, and we were up hiking up a rock face about, and we got up past that and dropped down this little hill, and I sat down and took my backpack off and whatnot, pulled my binos out, and I was just sitting there glassed in this ridge on the far side, and all of a sudden we just hear shot after shot after shot and mag dumping on something. And I stood up and I could see just over the top of the ridge, and I could see that the sound was coming from the valley that they were in.
He didn't know the bear was dead yet.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that
Yeah,
entire
no
time
idea.
running, I was yelling for Braxton. No response. There was no response that I ever got.
A little preoccupied. But
And so, after all of the no response, I probably had made it another 150 yards up this hill, and I yelled again, and Braxton says, hey, we're up over here, and I turned and went up the hill that way and cleared the top of this hill, and all I saw was just this massive bear laying on the ground, and it was a wild sight, to be honest. But made it up to them. They were all, both still alive, luckily, and it was basically just the best outcome it could have been.
Yeah.
When I walked up on it, I was like, okay, that it could have been really, really bad compared to what it is. And so walking up on it, I was really glad that it wasn't worse than it was. And after all of this, we started packing all of their stuff up, and I sent my buddy Cash. I sent him up the hill with Riley to walk him up the hill. And
hoping Boone put all the stuff
Yeah.
in the bags. And I mean, heat of the moment, you're going to forget things. We forgot a couple of things, and was trying to find the keys to the razor so I could run up the hill and get the razor down to Riley so we didn't have to go as far. And by then, Riley had made it, I don't know, 15 yards from where it was. And
I was boogieing. I was like, I want out of here.
yeah, but I got the keys to the razor, and I took off on a dead sprint up a steep hill.
It was one of the hardest climbs of my life.
Yeah.
It was a painful one too.
Yeah, and I pulled it down to like 200 yards away from, as I pulled it down to as far as I could get to Riley, and so we wouldn't have to go as far. And he's so stubborn. He was like, I don't want any help. I don't want you guys to help me. So he hiked himself out. Other than to hold his arm up, because I was helping him not hurt as bad, but
I just knew my fear of laying down and watching how much I was bleeding. I said the only way I think I'm gonna live is if I walk myself out of here. Because the 911 was like, you need to stay put, you need to stay still. And I was just watching. I was sitting here trying to hold my wounds and all that, and I just kept bleeding, and I just kept bleeding, and I'm like, let's get a tourniquet on me. I got to get out. I'm like, I got to get to that razor. I didn't know I was getting life flighted.
yeah.
And so I'm like, I got to get to that ambulance. So I'm like, first thing, let's get to the razor. So after we technically had 2 tourniquets on. We had to put one right here in my arm here
It
to
was just
keep
pressure on it. Yeah.
to keep pressure and to keep my tissue falling out because it was a nasty cut.
Yeah.
And then we had one up right here tied to
Stop.
but
slow.
But the hard part was when I was hiking out, I can only take 10 to 15 steps before I started losing more blood. So I'd have to walk and I'd stop and lay down and try to
Drink
get my
some
heartbeat, drink some water, try to get my heartbeat down, and then do it all again, and then stop, and then do it again, and then stop. And then by the time we got to the razor, we got up to the hill. This part's kind of funny. We get to the top of the hill, we get to the razor, and this guy started driving. And I swear, he was driving to hurt me. He was driving and going all over the place. I'm like, do you have to hit every rock we see?
There was boulders.
There's boulders. It was
and
bad.
I was hitting the little rocks compared to the boulders.
Yeah.
I was swerving to miss.
But
the
no,
big one.
I'm sitting here holding my arm like this. I'm like, I turn, I'm like, I swear you're doing this on purpose. Just trying to freaking hurt me. But then we hit to the part and we call 911. We're like, hey, we got him out. We're on the trail. We're on our way down. They're like, stay put. The helicopter's on the way. I'm like, oh crap. So I remember I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, I am sorry. And he goes, what are you sorry for? I'm like, this is about to get expensive.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is going to be very expensive.
Yeah.
And he goes, he's like, what else is broken? I'm like, no, I'm getting right in the helicopter.
Yeah.
He goes, well, he's like, you get your butt down here as fast as you can.
Yeah, and I'm in the driver's seat on the phone with 911 trying to get them our coordinates and somewhere for a helicopter to land. Riley's complaining about
The
how
price.
expensive it's going to be. I was like, Riley, I don't care. You're getting in the helicopter.
I'm like, I don't want to pay for this. I'm like,
was
this is
like,
going to be expensive. I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to work for the rest of my life. And so, but, you know, I'm glad I did, because when I got in that helicopter and the second they gave me that medicine, it was a big relief. I didn't realize how much pain I was in until they injected me with medicine. And when that pain went away, I'm like, that was bad. Like, that was horrible.
Yeah.
It felt like someone pretty much just stabbed your arm, cut it all the way open, and then plus throwing you around.
Yeah.
It was not. People could rate the pain. I know people have felt worse pain, but I'd still rate it an 8 out of 10. I wouldn't give it a 10 because there's worse.
I would give it a 10.
You'd give it a 10. But
Yeah.
it was.
I know I would.
It was very painful, but I'm glad we all made it out. I'm glad I was the dummy that these two didn't have to get hurt.
Yeah.
And so
No.
he's mad because it was me, but I'm like, I'm glad it was me. And so,
So you nearly sacrificed your life for your friend.
pretty much. But I also wouldn't be here for him.
Exactly. And vice versa.
So I call it a tag team.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people ask, I know a lot of people have a lot of questions, and so, but one of my new rules is when you go hunting, have somebody within 10 feet from you.
Yep.
Don't, because
if you're any farther apart.
if Braxton was 20 feet farther than I was, this would have been a completely different story. People told me, like, you wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be here talking, but barely be able to move my fingers a little bit, but I can't imagine what 30 more seconds would have been. Because I have this rule about this, I'm like, I had 30 seconds. And so imagine if it was a minute. That's what scares me. And so
that 30 seconds changed your life.
it didn't really change it. Like, we were prepared, and I'm glad we were prepared for this situation.
We were prepared as we could have been.
As we could have been.
You don't know
And
what the situation's like until you're...
We have asked a lot of people, I'm like, what could have we done different? And they said nothing.
Yeah.
They said there's nothing different you could have done in that situation.
Yeah.
And so we tried our best. It looks like people taught us well.
We did our
And
best.
so we did do our best. And so
You've got the battle wounds to show.
I do got the battle wounds to show for sure.
Yeah.
And so
So it's been this week. It's been a couple days.
it's only been 4 days.
Wow. What's happened since? What happened at the hospital?
I went in there. I had a lot of people worried. Like, a lot of people were surprised in the condition I was, and I'm even surprised the condition I was. I didn't hit any arteries or any blood vessels, any veins. I have all movement in my arm still. It hurts to move it for sure because of the swollen and everything, but I have all all of my 5 fingers move, my wrist moves, my elbow moves. And so I'm one lucky guy.
So you're anticipating a full recovery?
Yes. But it's going to take a while to still recover from this. But they told me I got at least about 2 months until I'm up and good again. But that's pretty good.
How have your friends and family reacted to the situation?
My dad thought I was joking because usually I'm the guy that jokes. And so I remember I called him. And it was a funny phone call. Like, now I think about it, it's hilarious.
Yeah, he's in shock and everything.
And so I remember I called him, and he tells me this is exactly how I said it. I said, "Hey, I just got attacked by a bear," and he goes, "Ha ha, very funny." I'm like, "Dad, I'm serious. I just got attacked by a bear." He goes, "No, you didn't. This is not a good joke." I'm like, "I just got attacked by a bear. My arm is in pieces." He goes, "Oh." I'm like, "Yeah, this happened." So, but
It's pretty wild.
and then his
No
dad,
joke.
then his dad didn't answer the first time.
Yeah.
His dad was sleeping. I mean, this was at 7:20 in the morning, so it was early. I'm surprised my dad answered. And so, but yeah,
What's it like to be that close, facing death, facing nature at its fiercest?
I would not recommend it. It shakes you up a little bit.
Just a little.
Well, I got shooken up a lot if you get into terms with it. But,
Do you plan to go hunting again?
yes and no. I can't really pull my bow back anymore, so I'm kind of done for the year on that. But if I do, it's not going to be that area again. And so there's a lot more up there.
Yeah,
So
a lot.
there's a lot more. That day after I got attacked, we have a trail cam up there. And that night, we caught another grizzly on our trail cam. And I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
That area is bad. And so,
Just last night, we went to dinner and everything. While we were sitting at dinner, it was just a black bear, but
a lot of people don't want to believe in this, but there's a lot of grizzlies out there now. And it's bear spray is good on
If
a
you can
certain
see them
circumstance.
you got time.
In my opinion, people probably wouldn't agree with me with this, but I'd rather them carry an extra magazine for their gun than bear spray. Because in the situation I had, bear spray would have not been an answer. If that bear's 20 yards away, bear spray would not be the answer.
Yeah.
Bear spray is only good if you can see it and it's not charging yet.
Yeah.
If that bear's not charging it, you're good. But the second that bear's charging, that has so much adrenaline that there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Like we said, we had bear bullets in our gun, and it still took 24 shots to kill that bear. And so,
Yeah. I just know that. I'm gonna carry both bear spray and my gun that way, because
he did have bear spray too.
It's a complex situation. I mean, there's so many different factors, so many different everything. It's better to cover all your bases and have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Wow.
So carry more than you think you're gonna need. So
you've been through a lot this last week. What are your plans moving forward?
As of right now, just trying to heal. I got a lot of healing to do before I can. I got to get prepared for snowmobile season. That's coming up pretty soon, so I'm a little excited for that one. But I'm glad it happened earlier in the season, because then I can start healing for snowmobile season for sure. And then I need this guy to buy one so he can come ride with me.
yeah.
So what happened to the bear after the incident?
Fishing game came and got him.
Yeah,
So
they did
fishing game
did
has
their
the bear.
investigation and they've
They
since disposed of it and
fishing game.
whatever they did
they-
with it.
They didn't even walk on the site. They barely walked on, and they're just like, this was pure self-defense.
Yeah.
Because they saw where the bear's den was, and they saw where the bear lied. And so they knew that we were
Yeah.
right there. And so
How many grizzlies are up in the area?
I don't have a number.
It's hard to say. I asked just because, I mean, that's who pulls all the numbers. I asked them, they said it's hard to tell because they're not like deer or elk where they have like a home area. They roam. I mean, they'll go 20 to 40 miles in a day depending on the bear. I mean, they're all over the place. So it's hard to calculate that because you can't get eyes on them because they're in the thick trees. They're hard to find. I mean,
They are.
Unless you're in Yellowstone, then you just drive around and find them. But
So when I spoke with Matt Piron, the Fish and Game Regional Director, he said there's about 1,000 grizzly bears in Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem.
Well, now there's 999.
There you go. And how do you feel about that?
sad that it had to happen.
Sad it had to happen. I'm glad I'm still here to be able to tell this story. My mom says she's glad she doesn't have to go to a funeral this week.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sounds like you've got a wedding to plan for.
Yeah.
It does.
Well, I don't have to do any of the planning. My fiance and her mom have been wanting to plan that. So.
And who's your best man?
This guy right here.
Yeah.
Sounds like that's going to continue a long ways into the future.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any other message that you want to share with the community as a result of this experience?
And just be
I'm
careful.
sorry I killed the bear.
Yeah, just
That's all I got.
be careful. I mean, prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
But we're glad you're still here to tell your story.
You can do all the training you want to do, but
Nothing. can
until you're in
prepare
that high stress situation, you're not prepared for it. I'm telling you. I thought I was good to go. I thought,
Nothing can prepare you for that.
yeah, I thought I was ready. I thought I was good, but nothing. The sounds, what you see, doesn't. You're not prepared for it.
Do you look at life differently having been through a grizzly attack?
A little bit. A lot more grateful. A lot more grateful.
Well, it sounds like you have each other's backs.
We always do.
Yep.
So.
Well, we appreciate you coming in and sharing your story with us.